Thank you, Lawrence. This is an occasion worthy of a pivotal moment in the World Championship. Round 18 in 2021. Welcome to the Mexico City Grand Prix. I'm joined in commentary by Billy Munger. Billy, what an atmosphere we have here at the circuit Hermanos Rodriguez.
This Grand Prix, the passion of the fans. I mean, they've got their main man Sergio Perez up there in P4 today as Max Verstappen's wingman in that championship rivalry between Mercedes and Red Bull. So all things action at this circuit. I think there's especially going to be action on the first lap down at turns 1, 2 and 3. Yeah, there'll be plenty of side-by-side racing, Alex.
The last time we had a Grand Prix here, 2019. What happened? Verstappen and Hamilton fighting oversteer into that turn with heavy fuel made contact. You saw the strategy graphic a few moments ago. It is a one stop for everyone in the top 10 if it goes to plan. But look at the reception. Checo Perez is getting around this racetrack fourth, but they know that they've got to make an impact in the first few meters of the start here. The first 200 meters here, very important because it's the highest altitude of the year. That's thinner air, and it means the slipstream effect is less.
Yeah, you have got the longest run out of the whole calendar down to turn 1, though, which may play into Red Bull hands. They'll be looking to obviously slipstream their way past those Mercedes cars and late onto the brakes in turn 1. But temperatures, again, a factor here at the circuit because of that thin air. So getting the brakes in the right window so that when they arrive at turn 1, after that long wait on the grid, everything is where it needs to be so they can outperform their rivals and make up those crucial positions.
Understandably looking at the front of the field and the wonderful atmosphere around this circuit. Track temperature 47 degrees, air temperature a very pleasant 20 as they form up on the grid. At the back of the field we've got Stroll, Ocon, Norris, Tsunoda and Russell, who all took penalties and will try and fight their way through. But at the front, this is going to be such an interesting run down to turn 1. 811 meters that could define the Grand Prix. Next.
Michael, this is not on. Look how slow they're going. Both Alphas.
And that, all about temperatures, all about worried about sitting there, waiting there on the grid as the rest of the field forms up.
Yeah, that thin air makes the temperature, managing those temperatures even more difficult here in Mexico, and you might see smoking brakes. We've seen that back in Baku, actually, and the restart towards the end of the Grand Prix. And what happened there, Lewis Hamilton flicked the wrong switch and ended up sailing wide at turn 1. So there's definitely caution needs to be taken on the braking zone at turn 1, especially if they're not quite in the window they hoped they would be.
Palpable tension down in the pit lane. The 18th race of the year is nearly ready to run. Lights out in Mexico City. Poor getaway initially for Lewis Hamilton, but can the Mercedes hold the track advantage for the time being? It's formation flying at the front as they try to hang on, but Verstappen is pressurising Bottas as they go 3 wide at the start of this Grand Prix. Hamilton's got the inside line. Verstappen's going to go past both of them. Does he make the corner? He does! Max Verstappen's found a way through. Round goes Valtteri Bottas. The pole sitter is knocked around as Verstappen takes the lead of the Grand Prix. Cars absolutely everywhere in the background. It's Verstappen up 2 places, then Hamilton, Perez, and now Gasly's getting past Perez as they go down to turn number 4. Perez stays ahead, Bottas round.
I can't believe what I've just seen there. Max Verstappen, what an amazing overtake around the outside at turn 1 there. So committed on the brakes into that corner. Completely caught Hamilton napping, who was on the inside of the free. Valtteri Bottas, the filling in the sandwich, and Valtteri lost the traction on the exit, went spinning around.
You've got McLaren in the background there of Daniel Ricciardo missing a front wing. Contending down there, so the safety car is out. First time we've had a safety car here since 2015. And there's a bit of a weird stat that the pole sitter hasn't finished in the top 3 here on the last couple of occasions. Valtteri Bottas spun round, and there is that front wing damage to Daniel Ricciardo. It was 3 wide into turn 1, and Verstappen went all the way around the outside. Brave stuff there. There is Yuki Tsunoda, who has had a weekend to forget, all things considered. Good pace, but not to be, and his race goes no further than the first sequence of corners. Daniel Ricciardo is back in the pits with the safety car out. Let's go to the race start then, and let's see the reaction times off the line. The lights go out, and immediately Verstappen into the slipstream.
And this is exactly what we were talking about, how Hamilton, look, he's side by side with Bottas, but he hasn't got the slipstream. Max Verstappen does, and you can see him sail alongside Bottas there.
Now into turn one, you can see Daniel Ricciardo diving to the inside, locking up, and it's Ricciardo who sends round. So Perez was maybe thinking that he was responsible for it, but it was Daniel Ricciardo who sent round the pole sitter, and there's Yuki Tsunoda being caught out on the apex of turn two.
You can see here now to the inside, so it's Daniel Ricciardo locking up, makes the contact with Bottas, and Perez has to take avoiding action. Looking a bit further back down the order, it all gets tight between, looking like some Alpines and Yuki Tsunoda down towards the back end of the field.
On board with Max Verstappen. Great initial first phase of the start.
Yeah, the reaction time, you can see they're actually slightly slower than Max Verstappen, but crucially, he had that slipstream effect from Valtteri Bottas. That's enabled him to get alongside the other two Mercedes and just super committed on the brakes. It's super wide down at turn one, so he's got that option to just sail around the outside and park it in between the apexes of 2 and 3.
This is Daniel Ricciardo on board, Perez to the left-hand side, and this is the lock-up that sends Valtteri Bottas round.
I mean, they were all complaining about how slowly the back cars were lining up. Temperatures could have played a fact into that lockup right there, because we heard over the radio it was something they were clearly concerned about.
On board with the pole sitter, now down to 17th position. He has switched to the hard tyres. Valtteri Bottas could well be going for a very, very long stint here. Middle of the racetrack as they break down for turn one. There goes Verstappen around the outside, and there's the contact with the McLaren.
Yeah, unfortunately for Valtteri, just nothing he could have done.
Somebody hit me and cost me the spin.
It's always an awkward position being sandwiched between two cars, one to the inside and outside, because it kind of dictates the line you have to take through the corner. Obviously, the contact wasn't a result of that, but it did, unfortunately, put Valtteri in a circumstance where he had nowhere to go in either direction.
This is Sergio to the inside, taking it on the inside line, really now going to the outside, then just completely bailing off. If he does that at any other lap other than lap one, he's in trouble, but they were given a get-out-of-jail free card. It's Esteban Ocon, who's up quite a few places because he managed to avoid that, but look, sandwiched in the middle, and how is he still going?
Someone hit me in the back.
Here, Yuki Tsunoda over the radio. This is a view with Esteban Ocon's teammate Fernando Alonso, who sees the cars parked up. He's just trying to find his way through all the debris and the cars spinning around, and yeah, it just looked super tight, super messy down there on that first lap, Alex. But crucially now, safety car ending, we're going to get racing again.
So this is a huge moment between the top two in the World Championship, and Hamilton will know it, because there is going to be an opportunity here without DRS, but there's going to be a big slipstream if Hamilton can stay close, and understandably, Verstappen trying to generate all the tyre temperature possible. A dream opening lap of the race for the championship leader. He's up by 12 after a really difficult day for Red Bull. It did not go to plan yesterday. They are in a great position behind Perez, Gasly as well. So there's an opportunity here, but can Hamilton use all of his mighty race-winning experience to get on terms? Because it is difficult to follow around here. You've got to think of temperatures after the third racing lap, if you like. So Hamilton knows this might be the last huge opportunity he's got to get on terms with his championship rival.
You can see how close he followed him through the apex of turn 13 here as we go racing again. Green flag, back-to-back. Verstappen's gone fairly early there, trying to open up the gap, extend his margin before this crucial long straight down to turn 1.
He's already trying to break the toe as we go onto the main straight. The green flag waving. We're racing once again. Looks like a good run for Leclerc. And once again, Verstappen trying to break the toe as he gets down to turn number 1. And Hamilton is not close enough to make the move. That's not the case further back, though. Sainz is trying to improve around the outside to 6th place, and he'll get it done initially. Giovinazzi can't fight back at this stage, and now it's Ferraris in 5th and 6th.
Yeah, good move from Carlos Sainz there. Fernando Alonso also making a place further up on Nikita Mazepin, but fairly settled. Max Verstappen had a good restart there, about 0.9 second margin by the time he even crossed the finish line. So that kind of shows you the advantage that he managed to open up in that last sector. But we've still got plenty of laps in this race to go, Alex. 66 laps remaining, and now it's about managing things and getting yourself in the window to use that undercut middle of the race.
Nikita Mazepin has Latifi, Stroll, Norris, Ocon behind as well as the pole sitter. Pole sitter's not been on the podium in the last 3 Mexican Grand Prix, and Valtteri Bottas suffering that pole sitter's curse here in Mexico City, back of the field, but with hard tyres that we know can go a long way. Not an abrasive surface out there. The driver trying to make moves is Lando Norris. He's got his teammate trying to do the same thing, trying to get past Lance Stroll. But the only key move, I believe, that we've seen on this restart lap was the Ferrari getting past the Alfa. Let's check in with Lance Stroll. This is further back, 16th position. We go on board with the Canadian driver trying to make the move into turn 4 and very nearly making contact with the McLaren instead.
Yeah, having to take a void in action there and go straight across the grass between turns 4, 5 and 6 and losing places as a result. You can see an image here of Daniel Ricciardo getting past Lance Stroll. I think this is slightly further around the lap.
Stroll off the road once again. So a dramatic couple of corners for Lance Stroll, and Stroll for the time being remains ahead.
Bora said stint to last race.
And we've seen these two doing battle earlier in the year, back in Austria. George Russell and Fernando Alonso scrapping over the final point as Max Verstappen sets another fastest lap.
Yeah, Max Verstappen still opening that margin out. Another half second on Lewis Hamilton in the last lap. Now let's see what Fernando does line-wise in this last corner. Look, he's going for that tighter line to stay out of the dirty air. Now he's opening up the steering, going on to the start-finish straight here. So he is in DRS range, about half second behind George Russell as they go on to this long start-finish straight.
Here comes the Alpine, trying to get past the Williams. Two-time champion, braking later, but not with the confidence to go the long way round. Now, as the corner develops, he's going to get to the apex of turn 2 first, and he's going to take the place. Russell playing the long game, Alonso up to 10th.
Yeah, a lot of respect there between the two drivers there, running side by side, wheel to wheel, but at no point did you feel like there was going to be contact, or unnecessary contact anyway. That was a great opportunity, an example of the racing we're going to see down there. But about half-second margin is what Fernando Alonso was behind, crucially, when he got DRS. So that kind of gives us an indication of how close you need to be in a position by the end of the straight with DRS to make an overtake there.
Another look at Fernando Alonso toughing it out around the outside, and George Russell knowing he was beaten by the time he got to 2.
Nice work.
Yeah, a lot of respect, I think, between those two drivers. They're drivers that have done battle at a few occasions this season, one in particular being back in Austria. I mean, remember when George Russell was trying to get his first points with the Williams team, Fernando Alonso being the guy to knock him out of the points late on in that race. Lance Stroll into the pits, onto the hard tyres. It's a slow stop down there, so that's not too good for Aston Martin, 3.9 seconds.
That 13 of 71, Stroll back out there. Stroll in a mini battle with Nicholas Latifi. Latifi knows where the slipstream's going to be. Straight into the slipstream of the Aston Martin. Remember, tyre temperature's never perfect when you're coming out of the pits, but Stroll will hang on to that one for the time being. Will he go deep? This one's going to continue. Latifi prepared to go the long way round, but runs out of road, and Stroll gets the place. Yeah,
that's a good overtake from Lance Stroll there, keeping track position over Nicholas Latifi. Both of them now on the hard tyres.
So 4.5 seconds now, the gap out front. So a problem for Lewis Hamilton that he can't get on terms for the time being. Ferrari are in a good position as things stand, as we just review Nicholas Latifi, the two Canadians having an arm wrestle when they got to the apex of 3, and eventually Latifi relenting.
Tires dropping off massive.
Now on track once again, another move, this time Lando Norris lining up his old sparring partner. These two get on very well off track, and it's a simple move on it for Norris to get past for Russell I should say, and now Norris is up to 11th past George Russell.
Just looking slightly further down the order, Daniel Ricciardo in the McLaren still ahead of Valtteri Bottas on those hard tyres. Valtteri Bottas in that Mercedes can't get the job done, can't make the progress that Mercedes would be hoping he could make.
This is on board with the other McLaren onto the long straight, and then you get the DRS. George Russell is running a barn door of a rear wing. You've got 10 miles an hour extra, and despite the same power unit, you're through, and you're gaining another position, up 7 in the Grand Prix.
Yeah, that DRS effect is, although it's weakened here with the altitude, still super strong down that start-finish straight. So turn 1 looks to be the key overtaking opportunity in the Grand Prix today.
My tires are just getting better. Copy.
So it stresses the amount of cooling, and want to underline that Red Bull must be fairly confident with temperatures and how things are looking, because they would not be running Sergio that close to Lewis unless they believed it could be worthwhile running him in that dirty air, because if you just sit at the rear of the car, it's far larger cooling at the back of the car compared to normal. Just another quirk of racing here in Mexico City.
Yeah, temperatures are something that the teams manage quite a lot, because we do see more retirements than usual because of the effects of the lack of oxygen in the air, the higher temperatures, and just looking at Perez's pace, matching Max Verstappen on that last lap. His tyres really are getting better. He's setting personal best after personal best, and he's on the attack.
looking at plan B. Okay, so Hamilton's pitched up a bit, 21-2. They stay on him.
Here's Bottas, closer than he's been before, and with Mercedes power unit in the McLaren ahead, still unable to make any impression. It's worth saying, Daniel Ricciardo, 8-time Grand Prix winner, not exactly who you'd want to be fighting at the very back of the field. As you've said though, Billy, that has certainly impeded his progress. Another fastest lap of the race for Max Verstappen. Interesting to see now whether Perez can stay with Hamilton and whether they will choose to extend the stint, bring him in early. Now you can see this is where, so in the high-speed parts, power unit parts, of course they're comparable, got the same power unit in the back of the car. But in this section, this is where Bottas does have a car advantage. Problem is, he's also got a hat full of dirty air.
Yeah, his advantage has been negated by the fact he's following so closely, and we know how difficult that is with the dirty air that comes off the back of these cars. It makes it really tricky. You can actually see Valtteri Bottas almost diving out of the way so he doesn't follow. Wants to get a bit of clean air through the car, help with cooling, because that's something they have to think about as well here.
In the opening meters of the race, Mercedes would have been absolutely delighted with the fact that they had good getaways, better reaction time, then into the slipstream, then made it 3 wide. Verstappen took the bold move around the outside of that corner. It's held the lead ever since. Hamilton wasn't able to get close. He was nearly a full second faster on the restart lap. That gap is now 7 seconds. And as they make their way through the traffic, Lewis Hamilton is looking in his mirrors rather than ahead.
Yeah, Lewis Hamilton, the gap to Perez has been fairly consistent, about 2 seconds. So they're running fairly close in lap time to each other.
Okay, Max, how are the tyres?
Not too bad, just have to be a little bit careful with the rear on entry.
So Max Verstappen feeling very comfortable out front. His gap is now 7.7 seconds. Seems a mistake from Lewis Hamilton on the last lap. The first time he's dipped into the 1 minute 22s over the last 5-10 laps of the Grand Prix.
guys, obviously too fast for us.
Yeah, copy Lewis. Let's keep on building the gap to Perez.
Pretty unusual that the TV director would play that out. Normally, messages like that are just quietly put in the bin. But at the moment, it's hard to argue with what we're seeing on the timing page. These guys too fast for us. We haven't heard that many times from Hamilton, and it shows you the value of what Red Bull were able to do last race. You've got to win your favoured races, because the form book disappeared yesterday. It seems very much back today.
Okay, let's stay on Hamilton. Close this gap up.
That's Hugh Bird on the radio to Sergio Perez.
Yeah, Sergio Perez at the minute, he's been stuck around that 2-second gap for a while, but yeah, it's a little bit weird to see Hamilton seeming a little bit downbeat on the radio so early into the Grand Prix, thinking that this race is over. 8.4 seconds is a big margin, but in Austin there was a big margin for him to claw back, and he nearly did it there. So with a different play on strategy perhaps, and how things may unfold going into this Grand Prix, hopefully the information gathered by Valtteri Bottas on the hard tyre may feed into them gaining some sort of advantage in the back half of this race.
Can't pull away from him.
Hamilton aware of what that means, given that for the leaders, if they can build more of a gap, they don't yet have the margin over the Ferraris that they'd enjoy. Still personal best being set by Charles Leclerc, so the Ferrari's being kind on its tyres. On the racetrack, Leclerc has been on pole before, as he faded off the podium that day. 25 of 71. The 130,000 have got what they wanted at the moment, and we go back to the never-ending story of Valtteri Bottas trying to get past that pesky McLaren ahead.
Yeah, I think he's going to be pretty tired of seeing papaya by the end of this Grand Prix, because at the minute that's all he's seeing is the back of Daniel Ricciardo's car. DRS open as he dives down into the braking zone at turn 12 here, but this is just the section you can just see the car just not rotating how he would want because of that dirty air. He's taking some slightly different lines there on the entry to 13, going a bit tighter to the apex and using more curve. And I imagine on the exit here, he's super wide because Daniel Ricciardo is taking the tight line to hit. Basically, where Daniel Ricciardo is putting his car and where that dirty air is coming off, that's where Valtteri Bottas doesn't want to be, and it looks like he's a bit closer now.
Now, can he finally use the top speed as they approach? DRS approaching 215 towards 220, the braking zone, but he hasn't really been alongside, and you can see marginally faster by 200ths of a second. But the driver who's been in phenomenal form, when you consider that ever since they announced he was leaving the team, he no longer seems burdened with it, has that second DRS zone to play with, which is why he's able to stay with. And now is he going to risk it? You can just see the car getting loose on him, and that's why he couldn't dive to the inside.
Yeah, I think that was desperation more than anything going into turn 5 there. He just thought that he'd have a look up the inside, maybe scare Daniel Ricciardo off the racetrack a bit by putting himself in his mirrors, but that just did not pay off for Valtteri Bottas. He's got to try something like that though, because he needs to make up this position. He's 13 seconds, Daniel Ricciardo, behind the car in front, which is his teammate Lando Norris.
So, moment again. This is what it looked like from Ricciardo's point of view.
Yeah, again, just a move that was never really going to happen for Valtteri Bottas.
Checo, let's close it up.
Now, this time, Bottas has got the best run so far. And Ricciardo defends, but there's going to be another chance. The Mercedes has had great traction. It's in the left-hand box. The Mercedes has had great traction all the way through this weekend. And now can Bottas in the second DRS zone? Can he make the move? Let's see. This time, is he able to dive to the inside? No, still the McLaren stays ahead.
Yeah, Valtteri Bottas just can't make it stick. And Alex, I'm looking at where these two are battling out on track. He's coming up to be lapped. Valtteri Bottas is coming up to be lapped very shortly by Max Verstappen. He's only a few corners behind. 28 laps into Grand Prix. This was the pole sitter from yesterday. He's had a torrid time.
And Lewis, we're looking at target +6. Target +6.
So that's the information for when Hamilton's going to make the first stop, being relayed on the radio. Still, Ricciardo is able to stay ahead and corking the bottle time, because Antonio Giovinazzi is going to be giving them a little bit of a three-car battle in a few moments. He has made his stop, having run earlier on. 10-lap-old hard tyres up against the drivers who have been on the hard tyres for 25 laps of the Grand Prix now. So frustration all round. Frustration for Ricciardo, making contact with the man that he's keeping at bay, and both of them are about to have to go and race an Alfa Romeo, which neither of them would have expected at the start of the Grand Prix. In comes Lewis Hamilton attacking to the pit limit. A line there comes in. Speed gun is on that painted white line as the Mercedes team go to work. So he will get the hard rubber. And they did their simulations on the hard rubber. 2.4 seconds is a useful stop to try and keep track position over Perez, and this is where Lewis Hamilton really has to go to work to try and lose the least amount of points as it stands in the Grand Prix. Can he get out ahead of the Ferrari? It's going to be very tight.
Tyres are good.
Oh, it was marginal, considering it was a 2.4 second stop, considering that he was pushing so hard in there. Fine margins there, but the Ferrari's able to continue. Good pace means that Hamilton now has to clear one of the Scarlet cars.
And now this is going to play into Red Bull hands massively, because if Sergio Perez can put a string of good laps together at the minute, and he's quicker on track than Charles Leclerc at the minute, so the pace advantage, if Lewis gets stuck like Valtteri.
So box this lap, box, speed confirm.
Oh, okay, so Ferrari just doing Mercedes a bit of a favour and opening that track position back up for Lewis Hamilton.
But even this is negating the impact of the undercut.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Sergio Perez, Red Bull, I'm sure, will be giving him the hurry on. He's got clear track. Use the pace you've got, will be what they're telling him on the radio. We need every tenth of a second you can find in these next few laps.
You've got Leclerc coming up to lap of Williams, and you've got Hamilton trying to clear Leclerc, and as you can see, the predicted gap now sees the Red Bull ahead. Will they respond immediately?
Yeah, just keep checking how much he gains on that new set.
Yeah, we are monitoring Max, don't worry.
I'm enjoying Max Verstappen, the analyst, more and more on the team radio in recent races, seeing the big picture like all great drivers in Formula One seem to be able to do.
He's got so much spare capacity out there. He's leading a Grand Prix. He's in a championship rival battle with Lewis Hamilton, who's won 7, and he hasn't even won a world championship yet. And he's concerned about what his teammate's doing so he can open up more points. I mean, that for me, that's really impressive to hear on the radio, that level of clarity of thought that Max Verstappen's got out there.
Tidy stop for Ferrari. You can see now that the predicted gap is dropping back, so Hamilton extracting a lot from those hard tyres, having gone to them early. It's going to take the pain later in the stint, but fastest first sector of the Grand Prix so far. And how useful was it that Ferrari decided to bring in Leclerc, and now they've brought him back out. He's in 9th place behind Fernando Alonso. Alonso yet to stop. The AlphaTauri driver with another strong stop. 2.7 will do. And you can see now the gap to Sergio Perez is within the window that would see Hamilton cling on as out comes the AlphaTauri, and he's losing track position to Vettel and Raikkonen.
2.1 seconds is what Lewis Hamilton just took out of Sergio Perez around the last lap. Now on board with Charles Leclerc going around the outside of Fernando Alonso down at turn 1. Well, he didn't really even need to go around the outside. It was kind of done before the apex there, Alex.
New tyres versus old mediums up against brand new hards, and the Ferrari gets past the Alpine. Leclerc up to 8th position. As we have another look further back at how he did it. Let's see how early he was able to get past with DRS, with fresh rubber, and Alonso wasn't bothering with that one.
Yeah, I mean, the advantage on the tyres there really just showing with the fact that how much deeper and later Charles could brake and attack the apex down at turn 1.
And 4.4 seconds safe to Perez.
Here comes the race leader, braking to the 80 kilometers an hour board, and Red Bull driver bound to hit his marks. Pressure on the team that practiced this day and night to produce stops like that. 2.2 seconds back in the Grand Prix.
Wow, great pit stop from Max Verstappen there. You can even see on the way into the pits, Max Verstappen much more controlled and measured than Lewis Hamilton, who was really trying to gain every millisecond on the brakes into the pits, but super job from Red Bull.
Something happening on track right now that's never happened before in the history of Formula One. We have a Mexican driver in the lead in the Mexican Grand Prix. And Perez will be loving every single moment because he's cheered here from first practice to the very end. The highest he's ever run before this year at his home event was 6th place, and he will be loving this lap because he'll be getting an extra special reception around the 2.6 miles. Just behind him on track, though, the Williams battling its Ocon, trying to get past George Russell.
Yeah, this is almost like a lap of honour for Sergio Perez right now in the middle of a Grand Prix. So I'm sure he's going to be super focused on the job he's got to do, but coming into the stadium section in particular, I'm sure the fans are going to cheer extra loud, knowing that their home man is out front.
He is trying to battle a 7-time world champion, but he must be able to see the animation in the crowd at this.
Hamilton's laps at 20.2 and 20.4.
Get Max to hold him back.
Keep on pushing, Checo.
A full lap led, he makes his way out of the Forosol, the former baseball stadium, and comes across the line. They are extending him as long as possible. And Hamilton was 7.3 seconds away from his championship rival last time around. We have seen earlier this year different cars favouring different tyre compounds. So it'd be interesting to see whether Hamilton has any answer on the hard compared to the Red Bull.
Yeah, just listening to what they were saying on the radio there. Sergio Perez, knowing that Max Verstappen is ahead of Hamilton on track, going, just hold him back a little bit for me, just while I just look after these tyres, go deep into the race, put some nice fresh ones on at the end. If you just keep them in range for me, Max, then I'll do you a favour later on.
Here's a replay of Lance Stroll's slow stop in the Aston, and that's not what you want.
Looked like he was a little bit long coming into the pits there, had the front tyres locked up, so just missed his mark slightly, it looks like.
Tires are getting good.
Copy. Yeah, this pace is good.
Valtteri Bottas, Daniel Ricciardo take, well, not quite 39, but we're up there, and still, once again, now, can he find a way? We're on board with him. Can he find a way to get off the corner faster? No, you can just see, despite the traction advantage, he's in the slipstream. He dived to the inside here. Problem is, it's dusty offline, and he backs off with the McLaren ahead D rating, and he's still stuck there in 12th.
Yeah, it just looks like every time he gets close to the back of that McLaren, every time there's a sniff of an overtake, something just seems to be holding him back. He just doesn't seem to have the confidence to just push that a little bit harder and later on the brakes, and to just really play with the boundaries a bit more. It seems like he's so focused on getting the exits and getting everything neat and tidy that he isn't taking as much risk as we've seen from like a Max Verstappen on lap 1.
It's 4.8 seconds, the gap between Perez and Verstappen now, as Verstappen hauls in his teammate on fresher rubber. What a long afternoon for the man who would have been dreaming of another victory. He's moving to Alfa Romeo. He knows his chances of taking wins in Formula One are disappearing.
Box this lap, box this lap.
And now, finally, the sight that Valtteri has dreamt of. The pit straight manifests itself, and he puts his foot to the floor, no longer following a McLaren.
I think Valtteri's going to go along that main straight right now, and he feel like he's hallucinating. Where's the orange car that should be in front of me? I don't understand what's going on here.
It's Ricciardo with a 2.9 second stop, not the fastest, but given that we've seen the range of rapid stops disappear in the last couple of races, and since that sensor rule change, here he comes. He comes out ahead of Russell, who's immediately into the slipstream, bringing Ocon along with him, and that will be an easy keeper position when he hauls on the brakes, and Ocon tries to be opportunistic. Does Russell know he's there? Not quite. He's off the racing line though. Or can Ocon apply the power?
Yeah, he's got a good exit there. George almost looked like he saw him in the mirrors. He gave him so much room, almost overcompensated for Esteban's ambitious look, and he's just got the move done now into turn 4 on the brakes. A great overtake from Ocon just by putting himself in George's mirrors. George took the bait, gave him too much room, and that compromised his exit out of 3.
Up to 14th position goes the Alpine, and this all came from accelerating off the racing line. If you're looking at a traction zone for a place that's not on the racing line, that's going to happen.
I mean, George ripping a tear off his visor going down that straight, even with the car inches behind him and losing position, and that's the other Red Bull in. Sergio Perez is in.
Sergio Perez in from the lead. Max Verstappen takes it over rather quickly. Now this is an important stop for Red Bull if they want to get on terms in the Constructors' Championship. Pressure on. Pressure met. 2.3 will absolutely do. So Hamilton's going to go over the line and take second place. There he is. 9.4 seconds behind Verstappen, but now Perez can go to work on those tyres, and he's back into the Grand Prix with a few cars to clear. So not perfect placing. So he's got to get past this lot all over again on the hard tyres, and he can take a lot out of them all the way to the end.
They are back markers though, so at the minute he's going to get a slight helping hand past the next couple of cars, and then it's all about chasing down Lewis Hamilton. 9.5 seconds with 30 laps to go. That seems like a big ask, but this is what the Red Bull team have gone for.
Let me know where they're quicker, man. Where Verstappen's quicker.
So to Verstappen, main losses, exit 11, exit turn 13.
So 11 is the final corner on this sequence of corners that Lewis Hamilton right there is just going through, and 13 is the first corner in the Foro Sol, which Lewis Hamilton is heading to right about now.
Yes, that's a bit of a tricky one for Lewis Hamilton because they're not similar corners. It's not like just that he's losing in slow speed corners. 13's the slowest corner on the track, so that's a traction zone, so Max Verstappen able to use that.
This is slow. This is a slow stop for Valtteri Bottas, and it's not what he needed. It's a day to forget for the Finnish driver who started on pole, and 11 seconds later, he's going to be back behind that McLaren.
Oh no, he's going to see orange again. Not seeing red this time, and he might be angry seeing orange.
Not just orange, the blue of the Alpine, and also the man replacing him. That is painful stuff for Valtteri Bottas.
Yeah, this Sunday couldn't have gone much worse for Valtteri. I do feel sorry for him because that qualifying performance he put in yesterday was really mighty. I mean, he had 2 laps good enough for pole position yesterday in both runs in Q3. He was class of the field, and today it's just gone from bad to worse.
Let's have another look at the slow stop. Just couldn't get the tyre off. Front left. And this is the driver who lost out on a potential podium in Monaco through a wheel gun issue. You can see back into the race he goes. Let's have a look. Just inspecting things down there, but frustration.
You can see the smoke coming off it and flames from the brakes there. That's the problem they've got here. When the cars are stationary, there's no air cooling the brakes, and that's where you see stuff like that. That's why they were worried at the start of the Grand Prix when they were sat on the grid for so long, because when you're stationary, there's no airflow to cool everything down, and then that's where temperatures become an issue.
Now, finally, Carlos Sainz makes his stop. He's sent out there. What a stint from Sainz, 42 laps as he gives up 4th place to Gasly, and Charles Leclerc will be through as well.
Yeah, that was a real long stint for Carlos Sainz there, and he's going to have the same situation at the end of this Grand Prix, having fresh tyres over his teammate Charles Leclerc and less of a margin to claw back. Only 7.5 seconds between the two Ferraris.
Lando Norris still to stop out there. 42 laps for the McLaren. He's the next car, but he's got to make that stop. He's going to elevate Sebastian Vettel to another point-scoring finish for Aston Martin. And Kimi Raikkonen, just like he did 1 week ago, finds himself in the points for a huge chunk of this Grand Prix. Alonso, as well, has fought his way to 10th position.
Can you keep an eye on my left front tyre compared to other people?
Yes.
And when you're at this stage of a World Championship battle, suddenly you're looking at everything. Let's have a look at that front tyre.
Yeah, you can see a tiny bit towards the outside edge of the tyre. There's a few little marks and lines running around the edge, but it doesn't look like any sort of graining or anything too concerning. Striking distance in 18 laps is what the graphic's saying, Alex. I mean, that would give us 7-8 laps at the end of the Grand Prix of pure action between the two of them.
Very, very interesting. Not what Hamilton wants. Doesn't want to have to race the second Red Bull wheel to wheel at the end when he's got everything to lose. And, well, slightly different circumstance because Sergio's at his home race, so he's got a special moment to lose, but he wants that second place. He's been pumped up all the way through today.
Yeah, Sergio Perez earlier in the Grand Prix made a comment about Max Verstappen.
Your tyre surface condition looks very good, Max.
Everything all good with Max Verstappen's end of the things, but yeah, Sergio Perez earlier on the Grand Prix, I think, made a slight remark about Max maybe holding Lewis Hamilton up. That's definitely not been the case, Alex, has it, in this Grand Prix? 11.5 seconds Max Verstappen is out front. Lewis Hamilton said it early on in the Grand Prix about how it didn't look like they had the pace to race them today. They were just too fast, and at the minute that is proving to be true.
Right now, looking further down the order, this would be Sebastian Vettel's best result since the Grand Prix in Baku, when he was on the podium in second place behind the winner Sergio Perez. Here's a pass for Valtteri Bottas, who improves up to 13th position on the medium tyre and gets past Ocon.
And now he is behind Daniel Ricciardo. He's got a slight gap to the McLaren in front, but that's the next car that he's going to be looking to overtake, and I don't know if he's going to be too excited about the prospect of that one.
I don't think he'll be delighted. He's got 4.5 seconds to make up before he's there once again.
Furthest checker behind Lewis.
6.5.
He is catching it.
Max Verstappen effectively asking him, am I having a good day or a great day? Because every point counts in this World Championship battle.
Yeah, exactly. And Max Verstappen, he's got that capacity to think about whether if he starts backing off a few tenths a lap, allowing Lewis to close up to him, but also hindering Lewis Hamilton. I think that's something that's in the back of his mind right now. Can he play a role to help Perez pass Hamilton?
24 laps remaining. We're going to catch him.
Well, they're confident on the pit wall. Catching is one thing, passing is another.
20.6 for Hamilton. He's in free air. That's his pace. 1.2 seconds taken out of him that lap. Gap down to 6 seconds.
You guys still there?
Hey, Phil, still here.
It's that sort of day. It's an unusual sort of day when you consider that they've taken 7 constructors' titles in a row, and Hamilton's won 6 drivers' titles. Rosberg took the other one. They are not used to the position that they find themselves in. Fastest lap of the race now belongs to Max Verstappen, and he's done an 18.9. See what Hamilton's lap time is coming out of the 17th and final corner on the racetrack. 18.9 for Max Verstappen, 20.2 for Lewis Hamilton, and that's the difference between Red Bull and Mercedes today. I almost feel cruel commentating on this, Billy. We're back to the battle between Valtteri Bottas and Daniel Ricciardo.
And I think Valtteri Bottas is going to be very, very keen to get past this McLaren as soon as possible, because it took him 40-odd laps to get near him before, and he couldn't make it stick, and he will not be wanting to do the same again.
So from the planner, looks like the catch is going to be towards maybe the last lap, but it's jumping around a bit.
Hamilton being told that he can defend it. Valtteri Bottas has basically spent his entire Sunday afternoon looking at that rear wing.
Yeah, he's definitely seen plenty of orange this weekend, although it's slightly yellow, the rear wing of the McLaren now with their new addition of sponsorship. But yeah.
Nothing gets past you, Munger. Nothing.
Yeah, I mean, nothing gets past Valtteri Bottas. He's going to know every inch of that car. He can feed back so much information about that McLaren race car to his engineers after this race.
We told you that Sainz was catching his teammate, and that is exactly what we're seeing. There's a Aston Martin Lance Stroll jumping out of the way, and now it is a straight fight. So older tyres on the monogas driver with track position, and Sainz having taken that pain on the medium tyre earlier on, now in the wheel tracks.
And we should try to swap positions with Sainz, and he will try to attack Gasly.
That's not Charles Leclerc doing an impression of a radio that's not working, is it?
That is Charles Leclerc. I think that's the one message that any racing driver does want to hear. Just let your teammate pass, because you can't catch the guy in front, but he might be able to.
I'm going through a tunnel. At the moment, the Ferrari's 5th and 6th. So the point is that they're saying that Sainz has got so much pace right now, he could put some pressure on Gasly, and Charles Leclerc didn't really have a response for us. A driver who was 3 laps away from winning the British Grand Prix. He's only podium of the season. He's been so consistent, Charles Leclerc. He's been 4th so many times, but only 1 podium this year. Carlos Sainz, brilliant on a Sunday. He's got 3 to his name in his first season with the Scuderia. Sergio Perez is now 3.4 seconds away. That last lap prediction is a little bit optimistic from Bono on the radio.
And just looking at the middle sector on this lap, Sergio Perez has gone purple, so he is finding lap time, and unfortunately for Lewis Hamilton, he doesn't look like he's got the pace at the minute. So things, I think, we're going to see more racing between them before the last lap. I think the last lap prediction from Bono may be slightly ambitious.
That's a great job. That's a great job. Push on now. We can get Ocon. Come on.
Charles is doing a lot of mistakes to keep me behind, I think.
Great value from both Ferrari drivers on the radio, and now Sainz is ahead. He's up to 5th position, so the swap has finally taken place, and now Sainz going to try and bolt down the road and catch Pierre Gasly. And there is that move. That happened a few seconds ago.
Yeah, that looks like it's out of turn 6 before they go into the middle sequence and lap at 7. So coming out there, you see Charles Leclerc pulling over to the side, and I'm sure he would have been very pained to do that behind the wheel. No racing driver is designed to give up positions like that, but for the team and the constructors, if they can get a car past Pierre Gasly in the AlphaTauri, it's more points for them.
Tyres are wearing.
Brakes are good, tyres are good, battery's good. Let's go.
Engine is good.
Engine's good.
What a difference a day makes for Red Bull Racing. On the back foot yesterday, absolutely astonished to find themselves kept off the front row. And now Hamilton giving it everything to keep Perez away and deny Red Bull Racing just their second 1-2 in the turbo hybrid era.
And looking at the traffic they've got coming up, Alex, Lando Norris and Fernando Alonso within touching distance to Lewis Hamilton. So where Lewis Hamilton catches them on track is going to be critical. If he can get the DRS on Lando Norris down the main straight, that's going to protect him from Sergio Perez. So this will play a part into if he can extend the gap or if Perez is going to get closer as a result of these back markers.
Lewis Hamilton is a 2-time winner in Mexico City. He's clinched a couple of titles here as well. He's had some grand days, some historic days around this racetrack. But if he's going to cling on to his title, it is so important that he extracts everything that he's got left from these tyres that he comes across the line and done 30 laps on the hard tyre now. Hamilton, if he's got anything in reserve, needs to show it to Sergio Perez.
Yeah, 1.1 seconds Sergio Perez was behind in a DRS detection zone, so just missing out on DRS down the main straight. So it means he won't have DRS now down into turn 4 either, but he's super close, Alex. This is really heating up.
Yeah, it's crazy. Can't get close. Tyres are getting hot.
So one Mercedes struggled earlier on behind a McLaren. Same thing's happening, and it's only to lap the car. That's Hamilton saying he can't get close to Lando Norris.
Yeah, and Lando Norris eventually will get blue flags and will be moved out of his way, but there is just a feature of that Mercedes car. It doesn't do well when it's following closely behind other cars. It doesn't do well in dirty air. Sergio Perez's family here just sitting there looking slightly worried, knowing that battle's about to commence with their son, and he's going to go into action trying to get a top 2 for Red Bull Racing.
It has not been Mercedes' day, but if Lewis Hamilton can keep that position, it will feel like a huge, huge win. Hamilton and Mercedes having to contend against 130,000 cheers for the driver who's in second and following through this twisty, tight technical circuit, part of the circuit. As he closes in now, it's all about how close he can get into the baseball stadium. He breaks down, 10 laps to go. This is where it's really difficult. He's done the catching. Now, can he do the passing?
This is where it's really critical. Traction out of 13 and getting a good run onto the main straight out the last corner. What line is Sergio Perez going for? He's following a fairly similar line, slightly tighter than Lewis Hamilton. Again, slightly close this lap. From 8 tenths over the line last lap, it's now 6.5 tenths.
They're all willing on their favourite son, who's in the wheel tracks with DRS. Hamilton, crucially, doesn't have it this time. There's a waft to the inside, but still nowhere near close enough. It's going to go into the next DRS zone once again.
Yeah, and we've got to watch out here because Lewis Hamilton has got that blue flag light being shown ahead. So Lando Norris is now getting that out the way. He goes. So that's one less car. This middle sector should help Lewis Hamilton. Now he's got some clean air on that front wing and he'll be able to deliver as much performance out of that Mercedes as possible.
Let's stay with them now, benefit from when they go through Alonso.
Yeah, that's obvious. I said it's over hot, it's overheating.
Yeah, copy.
Bottas has come into the pits. You know why that is. We told you about it earlier on. Go and get that bonus point for fastest lap. It is not redistributed. If he takes it away from Max Verstappen, it disappears, and it would be a 19-point lead in the championship if Bottas can do that, and you would expect him to, given his pace yesterday in qualifying and the tyres he's now on.
Well, it benefits both the Constructors' Championship and the Drivers' Championship for Bottas to do that. It takes a point away from Red Bull and a point away in the championship advantage when it comes to the Drivers' Championship for Max Verstappen. So that makes complete sense to me. He's going to go out there now, build a few laps, and then attack.
So maybe Perez dropping back 2 seconds, not because he's not got the tyre life underneath him, but they're having to monitor temperatures. That's about the margin that you give yourself a couple of laps, you group yourself again, and then maybe he regroups at the end, because I'd be very surprised if he was losing out that heavily. They've just got to monitor the temperatures all the way to the end.
I wonder what point.
So he's just fitted a scrub soft, obviously going for a fastest lap. He won't get the point.
I wonder what point Sergio Perez admits defeat and says, I can't get past Lewis Hamilton, but I can go for fastest lap, because he's got 40-second margin behind him. So if Red Bull wanted to play the game later on, if they let Bottas have a go now and then go, do you know what, we can't get past on track here, but we can get that fastest lap point back.
That is definitely an option for them, but Sergio looking for another. He's got the margin, he's got third place, he's got the time. 5 to go. Can he regroup and take the points away? Having run out of the dirty air for a couple of laps, now it's all about taking the last of your tyres away. So 67 of 71 as Bottas sets about taking that bonus point away from Max Verstappen. It's been an interesting Grand Prix. Red Bull with the package that everyone expected to have them to have at the start of the weekend, then a complete turnaround in form yesterday, and now back to what everyone was expecting again. That is a heavy advantage for Verstappen at the front, nearly 19 seconds in fact that he is in front of Lewis Hamilton. But Hamilton crucially minimising the damage, leaving something in reserve for his tyres, and that second place on a day where you're heavily beaten, keeping one Red Bull behind is a big positive, because there are going to be tracks that favour Red Bull, there are going to be tracks later on in the year that are expected to favour Mercedes. This battle ain't over till it's over. Pierre Gasly deservedly getting some screen time after beating both Ferraris and running a long way on that hard tyre, and he is right now finding himself with a good haul of points, and Norris is just 2.2 seconds away as we check in with Max Verstappen with a lock-up in the Forza.
Yeah, just a little bit deep there, so that's potentially why that margin has come down to around 16 seconds. And looking this now, this is so clever from Valtteri Bottas if he's done this on purpose. He got DRS at the start of the lap of Max Verstappen.
Slowing me down. You can overtake him.
So Bottas getting back past, getting dirty air on his way to trying to take away the fastest lap.
Okay, let him go, Max.
It is in front. He's in my way.
Max, he's not quick.
No, he is in my way.
Understood.
Max Verstappen's mentality, albeit back marker, albeit driver that is racing for the championship, he's in my way. He does not want to be sat behind a Mercedes, even if it is a lap down.
He is ruthless, Max Verstappen. It doesn't matter what stage of the Grand Prix he's in. They can see the positions being reversed there, blue flags being waved, and Valtteri Bottas, it's fair to say he's not done the job that Mercedes have put him out there on those soft tyres to do. He has not got fastest lap at the minute. Bottas is in the pits
for another set of the tyres. And it's slow, and that just sums it all up for Valtteri. Right click, delete, forget about today. Now, with DRS, he had a waft to the inside before. He wasn't able to do so. Further back, the Ferraris have stayed true to their word. Sainz has given the position back to Charles Leclerc. Charles Leclerc, who was told that that would happen if Sainz wasn't able to get on terms with Gasly. In the end, he wasn't able to get anywhere close. Talking of getting close, though, in the battle for second place, Perez within a second. He gets close, but not close enough. And now he's got to take all the pain of following the Mercedes through the middle sector.
He's got Kimi Raikkonen as a back marker slightly ahead of them. They're going to come on to the last lap and have Kimi Raikkonen to factor into this battle. So this could still have legs to it. This could be still interesting on the last lap. Position changes. Just Sergio Perez needs to keep doing what he's doing and just stay in that DRS range. If he can get over the line within half a second, I think that puts him in the real driving seat to get an overtake done. But at the minute, he's just about a few tenths away from being able to get the pass done.
We're on the final lap of the Grand Prix. These two aren't for the moment. One last roar, and they will hope that it's a different order the next time. Sergio Perez and Lewis Hamilton come into the stadium at the end, but Verstappen is a long way up the road at the moment, having done all the hard work in the opening 811 metres of this race. This is crucial for the World Championship, both in the constructors and for the drivers. Here's the man going for second.
Drain the battery. Final lap, this is it.
Not close enough. The exit here is absolutely crucial, Billy.
Yeah, this is a second DRS zone as they come out of free. What's Lewis Hamilton like on the throttle? No traction issue. Sergio Perez closer this lap. He's 6 tenths behind now. What has he got down into turn 4? A late overtake?
Hamilton driving on his mirrors. Perez thinking about it, looking to the inside, but that gap will disappear. He got within 4 tenths. He couldn't get alongside, and Hamilton has just done enough at the moment to hang on to second position. Perez has no traditional overtaking spots left.
Yeah, I think that was his last real opportunity at an overtake for Sergio Perez. He tried to put himself in Hamilton's mirrors, but the man out front, Alex, he's been magnificent today.
He took the lead at the first corner and stayed in that position. It has been a brilliant drive once again from Max Verstappen, who sees the checkered flag first. Max Verstappen wins the Mexico City Grand Prix. He wins here for the 3rd time and extends his lead in the Drivers' Championship. Just over the line, Lewis Hamilton is able to take second place, having seen off Sergio Perez, and Perez is able to stand on his home podium for the first time. He closed down the margin, but he wasn't able to get past. Hamilton minimises the damage on a day where no one could deal with the pace of Max Verstappen.
Yes, that's more like it. Great drive today, Max. Great drive.
Yes! What a race. Oh, that was great, guys. What an unbelievable pace in the car.
Well, mate, that was absolute textbook. You were fantastic. Very, very well done. Checo up there as well. Double podium. no Bottas in the points, and you got fastest lap.
Yes, that's always good. Great job today, guys. Really, really well done to everyone. Also the pit crew, great job. Let's keep this up.
Sorry, you didn't get fastest lap in the end. Bottas nicked it off you.
Well, it was all good news until the very end there.
Thank you, guys. I'm so happy we won in my country. Thank you, guys. Now time for some tequila.
In Mexico.
Well, the party is going to start in the Foro Sol. Sergio's dad absolutely delighted with that one. There's the winner, though, now leading the championship. He thought by 20 points. In the end, it's 19. And Mercedes have a 1-point advantage in the Constructors' Championship. But once he took the lead, it never looked likely he was going to lose it.
No, Max Verstappen, that first corner was critical. He did what he needed to do, and then from there on, it was textbook, like Christian Horner said on the radio. I mean, he really controlled that race, and Red Bull just had more pace than Mercedes today.
I gave it everything. Just don't have the pace.
Hamilton, understandably, absolutely gutted with that defeat.
Ay, jefe, no mames. No mames. Sergio Pérez.
our very own David Coulthard is standing by to speak to the top three.
Lewis, maybe not the result that you wanted today, but nonetheless still a very strong position for the championship. I'm saying maybe not the result you would have wanted today, but still a strong result for the championship.
Yeah, well, I mean, firstly, congratulations to Max. That car is far superior this weekend, and there's nothing we really could do about it. I gave it absolutely everything, and even obviously a great fight with Sergio at the end. But I'm really grateful he was able to at least get a second.
The atmosphere here is quite special, isn't it? The support for Checo. You saw him coming towards you at the end of the Grand Prix. How worried were you about that pressure?
I mean, the pressure's, I mean, I've had that many times before, so it was easy to hold on. But it just shows how fast their car is when Sergio was that close behind me and able to follow that closely. He did a great job, so he was applying that pressure and just kept going. Yeah, but I really enjoyed the race still.
Lewis, well done.
Thank you.
So moving on to our race winner, Max Verstappen, your third victory here in Mexico. What do you think of this crowd?
It's incredible. I mean, of course, you know, having Checo as a teammate coming here to Mexico is amazing, but even before that already, you know, all the time the fans here, they've been incredible. They love Formula One, so it's really, really nice to be here.
Talk us through the start. It seems like you really aced your braking on the clean side of the track, but you took such an advantage into the first corner. Yeah. Is that something you played in your mind before the Grand Prix?
I mean, it was nice 3 wide, and it was all about just trying to brake as late as you can, and yeah, of course, kept it on the track and went from third to first, and that was basically what made my race, because then I could just focus on myself, and we had incredible pace in the car, so I could just do my own thing.
The Americas have been kind to you. Last time out in Austin, here in Mexico, going to Brazil, another circuit that's strong for you. Are you starting to think of this championship, or is it just race by race?
No, it's still a long way to go, but it's of course looking good, but also it can turn around very quickly. But I'm looking forward to Brazil. I have also very good memories there.
So this was a fantastic victory. Again, congratulations on that. Were there any issues at all that, you know, as we get into this late part of the season, any little concerns?
No, it was actually quite straightforward, so that's really nice when that happens.
Okay, thank you, Max. So finally, moving on to the man that, if you listen to the crowd, you'd think he'd won this Grand Prix. Checo Perez, the first Mexican to lead a Grand Prix. And the first Mexican to finish on the podium. I can hardly hear myself above the roar of the crowd.
It's an unbelievable day. Obviously, I wanted more, you know, today I wanted to get the 1-2 for the team. It was pretty close, but I didn't have a single chance, you know, to get through. Still, I gave my full heart, you know, for these people. I could actually hear them when I was going through here. It was pretty enjoyable.
We talk often about home support or home pressure. How much was that this weekend? Because you're everywhere in this city.
Yeah, it was full of support. It was.
Who's this little guy?
Yeah, he's the little one.
Little Checo.
He's a little bit shy.
So, I think it would be appropriate for you to say a few brief words in Spanish to the audience here.
Quiero que hoy disfrutemos muchísimo, nos lo merecemos. Ustedes han sido la mejor afición, no solo hoy, desde que empecé en mi carrera. Hoy nos merecemos celebrar mucho.
Checo, go and enjoy the podium.
Gracias.
Stand by for the roar. The moment they all wanted to see has arrived. Sergio Perez taking his country's colours to the podium for the first time at his home event. And the points that Hamilton denied him today could be so important come the end of the year in Abu Dhabi. But wait for it, it's always an event that does something differently. It's been a fantastic celebration of Formula One all weekend long. And it's not only the winning driver, it's the winning car. It's all about to get very 80s rock quite quickly, because Max Verstappen, if someone can find the button, is going to appear. Here he is, the race winner. Cool as you like, with all the pyrotechnics, but he's done the job. He's finally made his way to the podium, his 9th win of the year. Max Verstappen presented with his 19th winner's trophy in Formula One. And Adrian Newey, who is on the podium 30 years after his first win at this very race, was Riccardo Patrese winning in his Williams back in 1991. Adrian Newey just with decades and decades of success. The same applies to Lewis Hamilton, who will regroup and go again this year, acknowledging the crowd with another podium appearance this year. And that is his 13th of the season, and the home favourite does the job. And that will be a day that he will cherish at the end of his career. He delivered for his home crowd and takes his 15th career podium, the very first in his nation. So that is race 18 in the books. Now a very, very warm day in Mexico City. There's been Max Verstappen and Red Bull who have taken their package to the top step of the podium. Crowd go home happy, having seen their man climb on the rostrum. But there's work to do for Mercedes. as Papa Perez celebrates in the stadium. I think he's had the best time of anyone here. But we're not done yet. We are on to Brazil in a week's time. And then Qatar, Saudi Arabia and Abu Dhabi. There are still plenty of twists and turns left in this Formula One World Championship of 2021.